My background is a little bit special, because I am not coming at all from the water world. In fact, I'm coming from a different world. I worked for the US corporation for 25 years with a different CEO roles across the globe. And after I started my career in France, and I joined Saur. I was asked to move to Saur. It was January 2020 by EQT, our shareholder, asked me to manage and take over the company and do the transformation we have done over the last 5 years. So we decided very early in 2021 to start with Mission Water with our teams and to move forward to protect the main resources on Earth. If you look at Saur Impact, first, we didn't want to be as the others. We wanted to be different from the beginning. It was my DNA to be different. And at the beginning, the market was looking at us like strangers, talking about the lack of resources. But in summer 2022, everybody joined us on that motto. Why? Because it was a very tough summer around the globe, and especially in my home country. And in my home country, many people said, okay, this company, they're right. The second thing for us was to say, okay, I was convinced from the beginning that you need to link finance and environment. You cannot disconnect both. If you want to innovate, if you want to invest, you need to have good financial results. That's why we transform and reshape the entire company to be sure that we sustain our strategy. And financially, we decided at the end to say, okay, we need to be the first one to have green bonds. And that's why we linked our results and KPIs, and we launched green bonds in our refinancing in 2022, I think, close to $1 billion of refinancing. The interest rates were quite attractive on that aspect. So we succeeded to have enough cash to invest in many parts of the business and to accelerate our transformation. And then the last step we did was last year in 2024, after the green, we went to the blue bonds. It was also a way to show that we continue to link our results to some KPIs, but I would say environmental KPIs, which are linked to our day-to-day activity, in fact. And it's and I think it's very important for the company to commit to that. You cannot disconnect financial results, profitability of a business, and I will say having a clear CSR strategy. It goes in parallel, in fact. For me, GWI, I had the first time I came, nobody was talking to us, or even no one was considering us. It was the beginning of the story, and this is a life. Huh? Where you are small, you are very French-centric, and we build up a global platform. And being a global company today, I think we gain some recognition from the market. We gain some recognition, including from the GWI team, and that's why for me it was very important to be part of the GWI Summit, because this is the only time during the year where you share experiences with strong experts. It's the only place today where you can have discussions at a very high level on the future, or the water future. I think Christopher Gasson has done a fantastic job on that. And also we like to compete to win a nice recognition. It's a part of the pride for the team, and I think for the team, maybe what you do not see at your level, that our people on the grounds are very proud of that. And for me, this is the most important thing, that the people working for us on a day-to-day basis, being in the flooding in Valencia, in the flooding in Mayotte, these people are very proud of being part of GWI, so that we are part of the big family, GWI family today, which is huge, and including with our competitors. And I think we're at the same level of other companies today in the world. A new thinking water finance. I think first, for the companies like us, to be sure that we have a total alignment between our shareholders. I think the shareholding structure of the companies like us, or including the water companies, to be sure that we have the support from our own shareholders. Everything starts there. And if you succeed to be, I would say, financially strong and sustainable, you can invest in terms of capex, in terms of projects to change the world, the water world. Or we need to have the banks close to us to do this kind of job. That's why I think committing refinancing to some KPIs does not mean that we were not considering to be profitable. Profitability of the company will help us to develop this new financing. We need to be a little bit creative, but I think there is space today, especially in Europe and maybe a little bit later in the US. But for sure, there is a space for green bonds, blue-green bonds, maybe in future, we don't know. And the last point for me that the financing were coming mainly from the US and Europe. Today, we see a big financing or big opportunity of financing project coming from Middle East. And Middle East is big part of the investors which are investing in their own shareholders. So when PIF is investing in one of my shareholders, it's important also. It means that they support the strategy we have. It's a full chain. So the world is a little bit changing, and we see today that investors from Korea, investors from Middle East, Abu Dhabi, or even Saudi will be part of the game, which was maybe less in the past, but they believe in the trajectory we are giving to the new financing. Today, politicians will not pave the way for supporting a strong investment. There are so many things happening in the world today. Some countries need to refinance military investment. Some countries need to refinance some infrastructure issues they're facing. And the water is always the last at the end to be considered. So our job, all CEOs of water companies, we have to be in the front line. And we need to talk about it. We need to speak about it. And it's not only financing, but we'll face a lack of money or investment. And especially coming from communities, cities, the financing will not be there. So we need to go after private financing. And when you look at the investment to be done, if we talk about infrastructure, if we look at PFAS, if we look at all these topics in front of us, only the private world can support that. So we'll not tackle everything in one day, but our job is to talk about it, and it's to show that we can work with the finance community to create maybe different funds, more specific to water, which will support and finance projects. And today, I think it's something which is key. And even if you look at the US today, despite the discussions on the environment, which are not the main topic for the existing team, the water is still there. They didn't remove water from their key strategic thinking, which is good. They don't talk about it, but they didn't remove it, which is positive for me. So our job as private companies, and especially at GWI, is to have the audience and to push the financing coming from the private world to support this transformation. You know, in part of our DNA, we started to be a company working with politicians and this part of the economical world. So we know how to navigate. We know that they have a long-term decision. We know that they have an agenda. And it's not because on Monday somebody has said something at the White House that it will change on Thursday. It's better to wait over the weekend. So be sure that when you look at the scarcity of water in the world, when you look the poor quality of the wastewater network around the globe, some countries were missing really this kind of wastewater solutions. We have to move forward. We have no choice. For me, the key thing is to be sure that we continue as companies spending money to invest and innovate. PFAS, big topic in front of us. So we need to continue to innovate in PFAS, for example. Reuse is something which we need to accelerate. When you look at Europe, reuse is very low. I invite everyone to look forward in terms of innovation. The water business is late in terms of technology compared to other companies. And so I think a lot of things will come also with AI and digital, especially AI will transform the way we'll manage network in the world in the coming 2 years, 3 years. You have seen companies stopping their CSR strategy because they were not making money. So the takeaway for me is to take the risk to liaise your financial objectives with your shareholders to CSR objectives, to be sure that everything is linked, in fact. So all the parties come to one objective at the end of the day. And when you take a target like water saving of 5%, it's a huge target. It means something, and for investors it means something. And we see today in the portfolio of private equity or infra funds, a lot of questions are on CSR. When you do refinancing, it's tons of questions on CSR. Maybe tomorrow it will change a little bit from the US investors and Canadian investors, maybe US investors, but I'm sure it will come back. Can you find on Earth a better asset than water? You know, we talked a lot about the oil. Huh? I think the blue oil is water, and if we don't protect that, scarcity creates value mechanically. When you have too much of something, the value is zero. When you manage and when you control and when you protect the main resources, because there is a scarcity in many countries, the value of that asset is mechanically growing. And today, a lot, and you look at the investments and you look at the what happened on the market. Everyone is interested in water asset. Everyone is interested in water asset. Sometimes it's too expensive, but everyone is looking at it. But we need to be sure that we deliver when you have the right investors. And we need to be sure, and when we talk to investors, they need to understand that they will need to invest. They need to put some capex in your projects to be sure that they will participate also at the growth of the business. The market is so huge that you have space for everyone. Even if we compete, you have space for everyone.